Sorry, man.
Hello. Welcome in, everybody, to the Fearless Foxes Festa. I'm Mad Magical, joined in by D-Gun, and we got our show matches ahead of us. FearX obviously going to be playing them, but we also have our guest appearances of Cloud9, who we're here to represent, but also 100 Thieves I'll be playing a little bit later. D-Gun, how you feeling?
Great. You know, it's off season. It's preseason. It is a very unique event that I feel very uniquely qualified to cover. It's North America and LCK. I got to watch the Fearless Foxes of BNK do their thing last split, make playoffs in the face of multiple teams that had the opportunity to try and sneak into that sixth spot. And you know, they've retooled their roster with some familiar faces with North America. Vikla now has come on into the mid lane and joined them, but really kept the pieces that it felt like were needed. Clear and Raptor are a couple of parts that are really exciting to be around, knowing that the top lane pool at sometimes can be limited. Raptor was a big gamble last split in the jungle, and we weren't sure why they had made the move, but they did, and Raptor looked really good. So cool to see what is coming up here for BNK FearX, as well as Cloud9 with their changes, their whole roster made by Mythology, and then 100 Thieves returning from their Worlds run and getting themselves an opportunity here to tune up.
A lot of teams kind of getting to show off, too, because, as you mentioned, preseason. But looking at how these teams can kind of change everything up, the Cloud9, you were hinting onto that they have now Loki for the team, as well as Zven back into the AD carry role, no longer in that supportive role. Vulcan still on the team. So you have a lot of these interesting elements for Cloud9 that are going to go up against our Fearless Foxes in FearX, and FearX having retooled the bot lane a little bit themselves, Diable and Kellen. I'm really curious to see how they're going to mesh. If you look at the Challengers League, not just last year, but the year before, Diable was kind of one of these interesting players that had these really wild moments as one of the Challenger players that kind of was able to find really awkward scenarios that he was always able to somehow get out of, which was a lot of fun to see an AD carry be able to do that.
Sure. Good for you to stay up to date with challengers. I didn't even know you're on top of that. I mean, uniquely, though, you have Thanatos, who was one of the most highly sought after prospects across the world in the Challengers League with D+ last year before he signed with Cloud9 in the starting top lane role. And Diable, just another one of those players that has that you're used to seeing from Korean challengers and Korean solo queue. It's a player with high potential with these big impactful moments, but you got to reel them in with the gameplay. And you got to see a little bit of that with Thanatos last split with Cloud9. It felt like, okay, you can see the raw skill. You could see the laning ability that maybe wasn't there before, but then you would see some growing pains in terms of, are we engaging here or are we not? Do I need to be tanking here? Do I need to be engaging here? And then it kind of split apart. And that's the unique thing about here in the LCK that we all wish happened more and has been happening more in North America. You get these young guys that have proven themselves over a little bit of time now, get their opportunity to show what they've got. So Diable is going to be a lot of eyes on him. His laning partner with Kellen, he was also on D+. D+ showing up twice here now in our pre-show. Was a product of a meta shift, or was a casualty of a meta shift. Normally known for enchanter type play, struggled a little bit when it moved away. That's why D+ then went with Moham. BNK FearX last split also had their own support roster moves. Duro and Execute were splitting that role. Now have solidified there on Kellen. Kellen will bring a lot more stability to the team. Obviously, Enchanter's a little bit stronger. We'll see how he has gotten on with the engaged support meta. But even in the interviews that they were doing during the Fan Festa just a couple of hours ago, you could see the way that he carries himself. Hedgie was asking questions to all the players, and Diable a little bit younger, just kind of like looking around, doing the rookie thing, like I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look. Kellen just kind of, he started an answer and then stopped and then started another answer and then gave his answer. Like that's him. He has an idea on how he wants to play. He has an idea on how he wants to share things, but you know, like it'll take a little bit of a ways to get there, but when it gets there and things are rolling well for him, it's going to be good. So BNK has an interesting look here in their bottom side of the map, as you said.
And I kind of want to focus a little bit more on some of these matchups that we're seeing like resurge, right? Because this is the tiebreaker match between Cloud9 and between BNX. Yes, we can highlight that these two teams have done these show matches a couple times this year. This one they're using as like, this is worth all the marbles. The winner takes all in this one. But also, it is a rematch in the top lane between Clear and Thanatos. If you go back to 2023 in the finals of spring back in the Korean circuit, the Korean Challenger circuit, these two teams met up in the finals. It was D Plus that ended up taking that one over Clear. When I believe Clear was on Damwon's secondary team, Damwon X. Not Damwon, sorry, Dragon X, their second team. And so the fact that you have where Clear, he was able to go to the LCK before Thanatos, even though Thanatos had beaten them in the finals, now it could be Thanatos' time to kind of answer back and say, it should have been me in the first place. I was the person that should have gone to the LCK over Clear, even though Clear made a great showing when he was in the LCK, as you talked about, especially when paired up with Raptor.
Yeah. Whenever you get matchups that are familiar like this with foes that have played against each other a lot within their domestic region, it's a lot of context there, and we see it all the time over at Worlds. You got some really weird matchups. You know, the meta may be a certain way, but the players have played against each other so much that, you know, maybe the top 1, 2, or 3 matchups will get thrown out the window because they know the counters so well, and then you get like 2 random champs. You're seeing that a lot in the World semifinals between the LPL squads. It was like, oh, these picks are kind of weird, where the Silas is just falling off or the Azir is just falling off. It just happens a lot. And so with both these players, in better spots than where they were in 2023, the growth has been pretty clear, I'll say, for both of them. And it hasn't been perfect by any means. However, being thrown onto the top level and having that type of pressure, that type of support, and better teammates that don't let you get away with things and hold you accountable to plays, and you can't just run into the top lane against your opponent and just try to beat them up. You have to play the map game, will accelerate their growth to be achieving that potential of a tier 1 top laner.
Now I am hearing that we do have our Cloud9 interviews ready, so we can hear from the players a little bit before we do get into this first show match between Cloud9 and Fox. So why don't you hear from the players?
주장에게 한번 물어볼까요?
All right. If we can have the captain answer. Do you guys have a designated captain here? We're going to go with Blabber. All right. Blabber, so obviously FearX has gone through quite a few changes, but one player, like this is our wild card, this is our MVP. Who would you say?
I would definitely say our MVP is Loki. I think he's going to carry us to victory this year, and I really believe in him.
제 생각에는 로키 선수여야 될 것 같고요. 로키 선수가 내년에도 저희를 무조건 승리로 이끌어줄 것이라고 믿습니다.
좋습니다. 자, 그렇다면 한국의 또 C9 팬분들에게 마지막으로 한마디 부탁드리겠습니다. 타나토스 선수가 해줄까요?
Yeah, so just a message to the fans in Korea.
미국에 있어도 응원해주신 한국 팬분들 너무 감사드리고 내년에 있는 국제대회 3개 다 나가서 좋은 모습 보여드릴 예정이니까 응원해주시면 감사하겠습니다.
네, 인터뷰 고맙습니다. 그러면 C9 선수분들도 경기석으로 모시겠습니다.
All right, thank you, and you may take your seat at the booth now.
네, 그럼 경기 준비에 본격적.
All right, so here a little bit from the players, and they believe in Loki. I'm really excited about that. That's one of the players we kind of hinted at. We didn't really get to touch too much on. A very new player to the scene, only 19 years old, and already Cloud9 players are starting to have confidence in his mechanics.
Well, Magical, what else would you say? Would you say, I don't know, you know,
I'd say Blabber. If I'm Blabber,
him.
I'd be like, me.
No way. I like that move there, especially because, for you could have also picked Thanatos, and just been like, hey, we believe in Thanatos, but he's already been in the squad. He knows how Cloud9 works and the systems, the way that it's ran. I think putting your teammate in a position like that to step up, and also give them the opportunity to address the fans as now a key player on a marquee team in all of esports is pretty awesome. So again, just another class move by Blabber, as he's done throughout his career as one of the de facto leaders of the squad. And the last time that Zven and Vulcan were playing with Blabber on Cloud9, I think the power dynamic could very easily have been different. Sven coming on in as like such a long-time veteran in the space. Him and Vulcan were destroying bot lanes at that time. And now they return, and it's Blabber now who's been the vet. Blabber now who has made it through multiple different roster changes. He's brought the team to Worlds multiple times. Now, coming off of not making it to Worlds for the first time in a little while, he's still that leader, that rock that the team is built around, and he's acting like it. It's really cool to see one of the North American greats show these types of intangibles that are required for leadership.
And for Blabber, I have a very deep history with this player, having done the Academy broadcast for Cloud9 way back in the day when Blabber was first starting out. When he first got brought in, I'm talking about out of the scouting grounds, just picked up by Cloud9, thrust into the spotlight when he was popping off in Academy, and given that shot during the really tumultuous summer that Cloud9 had, I think in 2018, if you recall all the way back then when a lot of people were criticizing because that's when they benched Jensen, they benched Sneaky, they put players like Blabber in because they had this confidence in how they were performing in scrims. Well, Blabber has weathered every storm possible for Cloud9. He has grown from that rookie player who back then was really just known for his kindred play. And I remember talking to him about all these different paths that you can go for, how aggressive he could play, even though it was considered the scaling option way back then. He was always looking for the level 3 ganks. And now this is a player who can play the tanks. He can play the carries. He can play the supportive styles. He can do whatever is needed for Cloud9 to gain them success.
Sure. Yeah. Who hosted that scouting grounds that he got drafted on? That's right. Yeah.
I don't know. Who was that? Was that some handsome devil over there that I'm talking to?
I've been doing this for a while. Yes, Blabber was drafted at that time, and one of the key parts to the development of the North American space, and one of the unique things about Cloud9 that they've done time and time again, develop talent. They have developed talent a lot, and so being able to do that now with Anero joining them, there he is on stage alongside Reaper. Those two coaches are pretty iconic in the North American space. Between them, all decades with an S of experience of coaching, not only, I guess, overseas, both of them, but now in North America as well. So I'm excited for the growth of the young players. And then, very uniquely, getting to see how to motivate players like Zven and Vulcan, right? It's maybe not necessarily motivation, but how do you reach players that have been through it all, theoretically, for such a long time throughout their careers? Both of them had to sit for a little bit as well, trying to find a team to go to, and had adversity that way. More recently with Zven, less recently with Vulcan, but you've got to deal with the veterans on the team that obviously want to do the right thing and be the rocks for their young players to be superstars and grow. And then also the young players being overseas, learning a new culture, being on a pressure-filled team in solo lane roles. Not the easiest thing to do. It's going to be a very fun watch throughout this 2025 season.
And as we get ready for our first show match here between Cloud9 and Fox, do you want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of Cloud9, Secret Labs, for the awesome chairs that they bring for everybody, especially for the players. Kia, always helping support out. Red Bull as well. And then Zenny for a lot of the paraphernalia that you see there, the players use to help them in order to play a lot of these games. Thank you to every sponsor of Cloud9.
All right, as you can see here, we are waiting in Seoul at the Fan Festa. It had a lot of different acts and performers playing earlier. One of the main reasons was because BNK is the Bank of Busan. They purchased the rights to FearX, who used to be Live Sandbox. So it was Live Sandbox, then it was FearX at the spring split, last split. That's why it was Fox. Then They got bought by Bank of Busan in between summer split, but didn't have time to change the acronym, right? There's like a
Right.
global rule set. So they stayed Fox, but they were actually BNK, which is why their jerseys say BNK. And now I think this year they're going with BNK FearX, and mashing it all together. But
I kind of like that, to be honest.
Uniquely, they are a team from a specific city in the country. Busan is the second biggest country, second largest city in Korea. It's a beach city down in the south. We had Worlds there in 2023 for the quarterfinals and semifinals. It is a beautiful beach kind of vacation type town, and it is uniquely growing as well. What a story I had was I was hanging out with Jat in between stages. We were going to go play sim golf, and he's like, it's going to be really cold the next day. Winter is supposed to kick up tomorrow. I'm like, it'll be fun. And literally the next day, it dropped like 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit the next day. It was freezing. Winter was there, and then it stayed there the rest of the phase. So kind of unique that it's great when it's summer, but as soon as it gets cold, it's freezing cold.
See, I'm a Californian, and so my opinion of cold definitely differs from everyone else because I don't understand what weather is. I only know two things: that is hot and a week of rain in winter. And so when you say cold, are we talking actual cold, like really cold? Or are we talking like California cold?
It was like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and the next day it was snowing.
So actually cold. God.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen snow a couple times when I go venture up the mountains in order to find the patches that are here in California. But that's about all I got going for me with that. But that's actually really cool to even be there in the country, get to see a lot of this. One day, knock on wood, hopefully we'll be able to go myself. But for now, just going to enjoy everything from here, from the comfort of my home, and watch these awesome show matches. Like we said before, it is a tiebreaker match. These two teams are kind of going into it a little bit of a rivalry. Of course, they are for fun. They are show matches. These aren't like the most competitive, but they do want to win still. They want to be able to lord that over the other team going into 2025. Be like, hey, we won in 2024. We have the head-to-head record in the best of three if you count that over the entirety of the year.
Yeah, well, I guess why don't you take a second to explain what we mean by a
Tiebreaker?
Tiebreaker match. What does that mean,
So,
Magical?
This is not the first time that FearX, Fox, BNK, BNX have done matches like this. They've done these boot camps together a few times now. And every time they do it, they do a lot of scrims. Cloud9 obviously goes out to Korea to work with the team at their facility. They do a lot of scrims. They work with one another. The coaching staff even kind of gets together with the players on each side, lend over a couple strategies, a little bit of unique guys into how their gameplay is. And so because of that, there have been show matches where Cloud9 has won one, and BNX, BNK, whatever you want to call them right now, Fox, they have won also one game too. So going into this one,
FearX.
yeah, exactly. It could be all of it. If only we could have more than just 4 for the acronym, it would make it a lot easier. As now we are getting into the draft for our game. Yone Ash taken away by Fox with Aurora. Whew, not new champion. Well, newish, not new anymore. Just will not be banned. She's pretty much getting the Cassidon treatment back from the old days.
Yeah, definitely. Aurora, just the presence there was very unique for LCK because it got LCK banned for, I guess, like region banned up until Worlds, through Worlds. I think it was only out for a week, and then there was an issue that prevented it from being played. So a lot of Korean mids and Korean tops didn't really need to practice it as much because they weren't going to see it unless they made Worlds. So unique that specifically for mid laners in North America. And Bessa getting banned out. That's the new one there, Magical.
That's the actual new one, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised to see it blue side banned, though. I would have expected that to kind of hold on until you have a red side banned away, or if you just want to be able to first pick that if you are FearX, just grab that early on, but they don't even want to. They'd rather just take it off the board while Kalista will also make their way to the bench. Another one of these really strong ADCs. Diable, I think, is also one of these nuts players on Kalista. If you look back to the Challenger days, that was really the champion that when they got their hands on it, they would 1v9 every single time.
Yeah, not gonna see that one as much. We have seen in during Kespa Cup, which is recent, I guess, competitive Korean League of Legends that we've had. Kalista was starting to go through a little bit, neither pick nor ban, because people were starting to value the damage that Corki Belt or specifically Varus was bringing out. Ashe, the traditional utility AD carry type picks, that was really where a lot of the focus was, which is why we see the Ashe ban. So Corki getting picked up by BNK FearX, Cloud9 selecting the Varus. So there is that AD carry handshake before the second rounds of bans. And then Skarner getting picked up. He was very, very tanky throughout Kespa Cup and Worlds, to be fair.
Yes.
And something to allow Blabber to get in, get out, and facilitate for the rest of his team.
And see there, you answered one of my questions I was going to ask you. Yes, we've seen it mostly in the jungle, but still can get flexed up into the top lane. Not saying that it's probably going to here for Thanatos. Thanatos, much more known for playing these really bruiser, all in your face. If you think the Aatrox, that was really what Thanatos got known for back in the Korean Challenger circuit. That was the champion that they dominated on in almost every single performance. And it has been left up. I was wondering if they wanted to grab that for him, but instead they are going to lock in Cassante, something that can also be flexed around for Cloud9.
Yeah, unique.
It could.
It could.
Doubtful, but it could. I'm
it
just
could.
saying. Just putting that on the table as like a possibility. In case it happens, probably won't, but just in case.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. The Jax has been very popular, very, very popular lately on the top side of the map. A lot of LCK top laners can pull out a good Jax. There's very few that aren't good at it. So clear, one of them is good at it, was getting banned away, and one of the keys to success that BNK FearX had throughout the summer split when they went on a run where they were surprising a lot of teams. Actually, my favorite series from last year was BNK FearX versus D+ at the very end of the split. They played a best of 3, all 3 games, slobber knocker, backdoors. It was super, super fun to watch, and it really showed all of us that, wow, BNK FearX is legit. They can tussle with a D+ squad that is stacked with veteran leadership and showmaker. They've got the playmaker on the top side of the map, the finals MVP himself in Kingen. And then you had the two kind of young junglers going at it in Raptor and Lucid going head to head. So that was a very, very fun series, but key to that, not key to that series, but key to BNK FearX's run was getting their hands on some Jax as we have the bans come on in. Ziggs, the Poppy as well, Nautilus, and Azir being removed.
And that leaves open Talia for Loki to grab. I'm kind of sad to see that it is Talia locked in here when you already have the Skarner and Cassante, because Blabber plays one mean Talia jungle. Doesn't matter if it's fallen out of favor for a long time. He still somehow pulls it out every once in a while, and it's always a treat, but not going to have it in this game. Going to be much more about building up the team and building up Loki. Talia great at moving around the map and looking at how BNX are positioning themselves at the moment. They are much more about like how they can play from their individual lanes initially. Looking at Corki for Vikla, you might have some ability to rotate, but not like how he used to when he had the package. It's still a lot more difficult. Look at the bot lane, double poke from an Ezreal Karma. Top lane Jax wants to be a part of the 1v1 duel, doesn't really want to be moving around. This gives a lot of opportunity for Loki and Blabber to go in tandem into many of these lanes and try to get them snowballing.
Yeah, I really like the identity here for both supports. Vulcan known for his engages and finding ways to whittle down opponents and then know where the kill number is. And on the opposite side, Kellen in the comfort zone. Who said earlier on the broadcast, he is the enchanter type player. He gets himself a Karma, which is now I guess getting played out, tested a little bit more. We didn't get to see too much Karma last split, which is one of the reasons why Kellen had a little bit of difficulty adjusting to the engaged meta. And then Corki, I like the Corki pick now because we have seen a little bit more Corki down on the bot lane, but it can be a flex. So it did cover Diablo just a little bit. He'll be moving on over to the Ezreal, which every AD carry, every LCK AD carry can play that. And so he had himself a handful of Ezreal games, only two last split. So not a ton, but now expected to be able to play that because of the skill expression that is expected by AD carries from the LCK.
Digon, I've talked to a lot of ADCs in my day, and every time I'm like, wow, you've never played Ezreal competitively. I'm so surprised we see this. And they're just, chatting to them behind the scenes. They go, you think that's my first time play? I've played thousands of games of it in solo queue. You don't have any idea. I only like playing this character. I just never get an option to. That is so many ADCs that are just like, that's the one they want to play. It's just rarely do they get the opportunity to do so.
Right. Again, a lot of the time, based on the meta, you're required to switch on over to some sort of utility AD carry, maybe some Jhin, which dishes out damage, but then also you can get the snare. So it feels like they pull it out of thin air, but Ezreal is something that is expected for you to play if you're a damage dealing player that plays the marksman role.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still waiting to have the Veigar ADC come back, where it's just about trying to blow people up. Ziggs. When Ziggs was a thing, I wanted Veigar to be in that role. I'm like, Veigar would do great in this, but nobody ever listens to me, Digon. Nobody ever listens to me.
Well, who played a little bit of Veigar was Vikla. Right?
Yes, this is true.
Vikla pulled that one out over when he joined in NA and showed that, hey, look, I will have a couple of pocket picks to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Vikla now stepping into the role that was vacated by Closer, former T1, then was here and did pretty well. I think we had talks about potentially voting him into maybe top 3 mids, probably top 5 for sure, but top 3 mids because he had such a really consistent season. He could play both sides of the Corki Azir matchup and was comfortable in it, held his own, especially when everyone was just getting punished by Chovy. Like Chovy was crushing everyone. Closer did really well. Vikla, we know the high highs that he can take after spending some time over at FlyQuest, went to the LPL, and now finds himself back in the LCK where he was young player of the spit for the LCK awards back in 2022, I believe. So Vikla has some shoes to fill and has like some redemption that he's looking to pick up here.
He might be a storied player, but he's still very young. We have to keep that in mind. He's been all over the place, but very young player still. And it feels like that Fox have gotten this team that is a lot younger in many of their areas and are willing to build up these players. You were talking about this earlier, Digon. The willingness of LCK to invest in these newer talented players, these ones that are coming out of the not even out of the woodworks. They're working through Challengers League, getting them at a young age of even 15, 16 through that and saying, hey, we know they are good. Let us not even just risk it. We're going to invest into this and build up the future and constantly have it turning this machine of all this Korean talent.
Sure. And I think one of the unique things about Cloud9 is that they did the same thing, and 2 of those players are products right here. Back in that, Scouting Grounds draft, Blabber was drafted by Cloud9. Vulcan was picked up by Clutch Gaming, and both of them now here in this Cloud9 roster as we kick off the action here. 1 minute on in, it is the BNK FearX Fan Festa show match. Very, very excited to get to see North American teams playing here in Korea. It's so fun.
It's always fun. Anytime you have that international gameplay that's a little bit more, not even just for competition, but for sport, just for the fun of it, to showcase the talent that you have and kind of test your mettle early on and whether or not you feel like you can actually go toe-to-toe against other regions. NA has kind of always gotten a lot of criticism by their lack of ability to play against these Korean teams, yet Cloud9 are willing to go to these boot camps, test themselves out, make sure that they are getting in a better position so they can reasonably fight against the international squads.
So just right off the bat, you can see how much Cloud9 has been influenced by the Korean LCK style. Look at these lane setups. It's a 2 versus 1 on the top side of the map, a 2 versus 2, but it's a top laner on one side, the support on the other, and then a 1 versus 0 on the bottom side. Diablo is getting to just play Farm Simulator 2024, about to patch to 2025, and farm on up as Thanatos. He didn't want to be in the 1v2 and just get frozen on out the way that's happening to Clear right now. But BNK FearX kind of read it, and they sent someone mid, and now they're getting the harass down equally for both Loki and Vikla.
Looking for the dive. They picked up the rock. Nice flash from Clear to try to get away, but smashed into the wall with a hail of arrows, doing a lot, but a nice counter-strike denies that dive despite a massive minion wave. They might have to reset, wait it out. Well, Thanatos has now gone into the bot lane, took a punish there from the members of Fox. He's trying his best to kite away. They've got the root. He's still alive. They didn't connect it. First blood went in the top lane for Cloud9. Thanatos should fall finally, but delaying enough for the team to win out top.
Yeah, definitely less resources to stall there for Cassante when you're Jax. You have Counter-Strike, you have Leap Strike, so you are a little bit more mobile, whereas Thanatos, he gets to dash around a little bit with Pathmaker, but not too much after that. The second dive does happen for Cloud9. They do get first blood as we take a look at it one more time, because we only got to see the first part here. Blabber tanks a bit, which actually that wasn't so great. But the goal here, if you are Clear and if you're Thanatos, isn't to try and survive the dive. You kind of know you're going to die. It's more about getting the HP bars low enough that Cloud9 and BNK FearX with their diving squad can't re-dive you, so you teleport back on into the tower, soak up the experience that you can, and that's just part of the game now. Like, both players have 14 CS. They are equal. They understand that's what it's like as a top laner in this meta. You just get dove.
Yeah, especially, this is why I want to go back to that point you're talking about, Digon, and how wise it was from Cloud9 to initiate this swap up, because they understand it's double poke in the bot lane. Diablo and Kellen are going to be impossible for Zven and Vulcan to deal with. So instead of even trying to match up with that, they decide to swap up the lanes, make it more even, and deny power the double poke would normally have for Fox.
Sure, and given the way that things have ran right now, you got yourself a slight gold lead with the first blood, as well as a little bit more CS in the hands of Thanatos. The wave is pushing away from Thanatos, though. That will be quite annoying and very difficult to fix, because it then will require some Blabber resources to come on down, or Loki to roam on down, and you don't want to do that right now if you're in the mid lane. Now, Blabber, he won't be able to go down anytime soon because he's caught himself a little bit of Kellen, and it just slows the tempo down, and I fear here that Thanatos is going to be in for a little bit more hurting in terms of the lane. But you look at the opposite side on the top side, it's the same thing. It's pushing away from Clear, so Kellen has to go and try to fix this lane.
There's still Blabber here. I'm waiting to see if he's going to cancel that recall, because they could have looked for this angle top side. I think they win the 2v3 because they have their support at level 4 while it's only level 2 for Kellen. It could have been Cloud9 punishing Fear in the top path, but instead they decided to fall back for now, get some more farm, and looking back into the bot lane, Thanatos isn't in that bad a spot. Look at the farm that he has over Clear. He's got level 5. He's the same level as Diablo, who had a lot more of the resources gifted to him in that bot lane.
Yeah, he does. He did a great job. I wish we could have seen it. He did a great job utilizing his HP and his shields to, I guess, step up and force Diablo to hit him, and then the minions start attacking him, and then it forces the wave to fix on back. So he did a great job of fixing the wave by himself.
Low mana for the mid laners, Vikla and Loki. Flash away, but already the twisted advance was there. Loki doesn't have an escape from that bomb. The missile connects while the Ixtal's impact, throwing the tree into the wall. But Kellen's on the other side. Flash to make sure it's a 1-for-1 trade, while Vulcan on the other side, scaring away Fox from chasing down Blabber any further, even though Vikla is 6, has no mana to back this up.
Yeah, Loki not respecting the flash engage potential coming from Raptor. And I actually was impressed there by Blabber choosing the right target there at the end. You see how low Raptor got. He could have gone for Vikla and tried to hit the damage dealer. Instead, he goes for the jungler, able to pick it on up with the flash damage there at the very end.
Kellen trying to be a nuisance as the grubs have been started by Cloud9. They were able to get a little bit of health back, and now Kellen gets tagged by the Grand Entrance, having to flash over the wall to get away, but he's too low to re-engage. Raptor and Clear might get Blabber. He's stuck in the pit, but the Ixal's impact seismic shove, finding the pick onto Clear. Then they get Raptor up into the air. They're trying their damnedest to be able to get Blabber on the other side, but they can't do it while Loki scares away this level 3 support, auto-attacking him to death. Raptor is falling in the pit to Cloud9.
Yeah, Blabber played a game of chicken with Clear. He was like, yeah, I'm going to go against the wall. You think I'm going to Ixtal impact over the wall. Instead, I'm just going to go ahead and lead the alley-oop for Loki to go and shove you across multiple different rocks. And we see it one more time. Just watch Blabber here. If I'm a Cloud9 fan, I'm like, hey, everyone's leaving him all alone. Zven has no mana. This looks very, very boned. Instead, he shoves him into the wall with the extra shove by Loki. You clear him on out, then Vulcan's like, hey, you know what? I can land a couple Qs here. Let's go ahead and get some HP to Blabber. Meanwhile, Kellen's all out of mana, and Raptor's kind of left in no man's land.
Well played by Cloud9, getting themselves the grubs, getting themselves the play, and now the lead up against BNK FearX. Well, this bot tower, we see how much of a beating W was able to get to it. It is now Cloud9 to answer back. They even throw out the Chain of Corruption. True Shot Barrage didn't connect. The 1v1 duel was going Sven's way. Piercing Arrow barely goes wide. Diable could be scared. He has little mana to escape, maybe just enough for an Arcane Shift. It does seem that enough of the reinforcements for Fox will make it so that Cloud9 don't want to overextend.
Now, Arcane Shift, very expensive, 70 mana to be able to use that compared to the Mystic Shot, which is super cheap. So, very difficult spot for him to be in at that time. He is the win condition now because everything else is started to slide out of BNK FearX's hands. Vikla doing okay in the mid lane as well, has a nice lead, but really, you want to watch those two. Ezreal late game can be difficult. Jack's late game can be difficult, but he's been put behind early on. I mean, you look at the CS, you look at the couple of deaths that he had where he thought you were going to get a little bit more follow-up, was not able to. And so now Thanatos can have his way with it.
And even looking at this, a level lead that Thanatos has, Clear was really hoping for a simple 1v1 duel up against his counterpart. We talked about the rematch from the Challengers League playoffs back in 2023 spring. He would have loved to be able to kind of go up against Thanatos, but he only now gets to after the lane swaps that were initiated by Cloud9. And when he sees Thanatos, he's like, wait, he kind of is a god at this point. There's not much I can do to stop him from Thanos stabbing me as Cassante.
No, definitely not a lot now. As the game started to lull a little bit, expected first 10 minutes. So fans, if you're sitting at home and you're like, wow, that was super weird, you know, all these weird lane things. No, that's normal. This is what's been happening for all of summer and into
Worlds.
Into Worlds. Basically,
it's the new norm.
Top laners, you guys are kind of crazy already anyways. You're used to some suffering anyways. Same thing just happens here early on in the preseason.
Back into the top lane. Clear looking to get dove. Ixtal's impact into the wall. The impale to drag away the counter strike. They've been taking up this for so long, but he tries to leap strike away. All out for Thanatos, looking for Clear. A nice Shattered Earth picked up the kill for Blabber. The dive was perfect. Bot lane will fall to BNK FearX.
Yeah, great dive there. I like the fact that Blabber, again, shows that he knows how to take the tower aggro, how to do tower dives. That's kind of what you're looking for in preseason. You want to be able to do the routine plays, being able to do a 2-man dive, being able to execute an early game 3-man dive, knowing how to rotate to the grubs. And now we're going to get to see in just a little bit how to rotate to Herald and take this fight. What Cloud9 needs to do and show in this game, the way that it's played out in the first 10 minutes, is show that they can take a lead and use it properly to snowball. That's what you need to do here based on how strong your Varus is right now. First completed item, you want to fight. You want to fight with the Varus. You want to put out the damage around the Herald.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because looking at the lead right now, it's not that much that Cloud9 have for themselves. They have a little bit more than 1K. Yeah, it's 12 minutes in, which is pretty decent. but it's not this massive lead that you kind of expect from them right now. And you can kind of see that against Loki and Vikla. Vikla trying to see if he can take down this young player, and he'll do so with one barrage.
Vikla didn't even play that perfectly. He just said, you know what? I've got kill potential now. I can miss a couple of rockets, no problem.
Yeah, he full sent it, just understood that it was little mana for Loki, and he had used so many of the Qs. There's a lot of the worked ground that made it difficult for Loki to actually get the consistent damage onto Vikla, and now the TP in from Vikla to contest the grubs and make sure that it will be 4 in total for Fox. But with Thanatos already TPing behind, they got another TP. Loki's going to show up, and it was the stolen. It's going to be a 3-for-3 grubs, while Loki looking for kill and trying to get a little bit more damage, but he movement speeds himself away, while Diable on the other side can easily arcane shift himself out of this one. A difficult target to get locked down on.
Oh man, if I'm Cloud9, I am a little bummed with the way that played out. We expended 2 TPs. You wanted to get the fight there. This is what I was talking about. Set your Varus up to deal the damage when he's got that 1 item lead. Instead, they weren't able to lock anything down. Both TPs used. Clear was still farming on the bottom side of the map and slowly pulling himself back into the game. And so, not a game losing play, but a missed opportunity for a game-winning play. And now the Sharks are circling in the top side of the map. Thanatos at half HP, Raptor hanging around there as well. They'll just reset after a small win. Good play here by BNK FearX.
And going into just the fact that it is the double TPs, all from this play from Vikla, flashing away from the seismic shove. And like I said, he doesn't play it perfectly.
Oh, yeah, and the threaded volley there by Loki, he wanted to get away and get into the minion wave so that the rockets wouldn't land, but he then instead just misses the threaded volley to the left, the amount of space that he flashed away from. So, you know, 1v1s happen. The hands be working every now and then, so we'll see if Loki will be able to dust himself off at the rest of the game.
And that's a big thing for a lot of these younger players, is how do you pick yourself up after having a play like that happen to you? It's having the reset mental, get back into this one, be like, mistakes like that happen, it's okay, I can bounce back into this one. I'm playing Talia. I'm a fantastic scaling champion. I'm going to do really well once I have this tier of the goddess item completed, get into the Seraphs, and have a lot more that I can actually do in these team fights consistently.
All right, now that things have slowed down, Herald's going to be uncontested, taking by BNK FearX. Reason being is they wanted to locate a couple of resources down on the bottom side of the map, both for mid lane safety and to get some damage down to the tower. And they have the vision down for the Drake, which will be spawning a little bit.
Cloud9 still haven't gotten any of these towers knocked down. And having Fox with that Herald could start being dangerous for Cloud9. You were talking about how they need to start really pressuring Fox, and it's hard to do so when this gold lead, it's remained at 1,000 now for the past 3 minutes. In fact, during that time, BNK FearX were able to not win a play, but go even up against the team that was ahead of them, which is honestly perfect for Fox and going to put them in a better position when looking towards some of these dragons.
And that's one of the unique things about Vikla. He was able to identify, hey, in a 5v5, a lot of the gold is down on the bottom side of the map of the Varus, so we would be in a disadvantage, but in a 1v1, at that time, he had slightly more CS, item advantage, a slight item advantage against Loki. So we'll take that 1v1, and that then causes the game to kind of stall out a little bit here on Cloud9.
As Cloud9 get the top turret, as I said that they had no turrets, but it is Thanatos getting it. Now, you were talking about where the gold is allocated for Cloud9. It really has been on to the top half of this map, where both Thanatos and Blabber, the 2 tanks for the team, even if you have the 3 kills for Zven, he's about even. When you look at just the build path that he has, it's a cheaper build path than Diable has too. And they are even on items at this point, so it's not really that big of a lead for Cloud9 bot side.
Blabber looking for something. Ooh, you hate to see it miss. Ulti not going to land there, but the TP still coming on through. This is what I was talking about in terms of, is it disconjointed or is this brilliant? Let's find out together.
Looking for Vikla. They bounced him around for so long, and they even get Diable, who had to flash and arcane shift to get away from Thanatos, and he took a beating for it. So low on health, and with the dragon spawned up, Cloud9 will reap the benefits of the fight.
Yeah, they aren't putting all their resources into it. They will send 3 down. Thanatos will rotate up as well. A little hovering by Loki, but they're trying to min-max off the map. However, he's being tracked by Raptor, and it doesn't look like Thanatos will be able to get to the tower, so he will not be able to defend it or get those minions. So BNK FearX, although they lost the fight, they do lose the Drake. They do find a way to still pull something back here.
Getting the gold on the clear too. We start off. Oh, we have to see this again.
Oh, it's dry. That was very
Tragic.
dry. It was desert
Tragic.
dry.
Yeah.
Sandpaper dry. Come on.
He tried at least, you know.
These
gave
are
it
the
an
types
effort.
of engages that we would see in the LCS last year, where you miss the initial thing, but the Thanatos is like, well, I already TP'd, so we're going in. And it didn't always work. This time it did work. They had the numbers advantage, but these are the types of bumps that you want to try and clear out, and I'm sure Coach Nero, Coach Reaper will be using something like that in review.
When we look at how BNK FearX want to play, it makes sense that Cloud9 were able to win the fight when you really just think about it more cerebrally, right? Clear is playing Jax, and this is a Jax that is behind. The Jax doesn't want to TP into this fight. Thanatos knows that. Cloud9 should know that. Even with Blabber missing it, they know that they're still going to have the advantage that Jax is not going to be there. If the Jax is there, the Jax is useless. He's not going to be able to do anything. The Jax is better off trying to do as he did. Take that top turret, get more gold, try to get this point where you are the scary Jax that can 1v9 late game.
Vikla walking on up here again with the safety of Valkyrie backwards. Nice. Hanging out. But really not a lot here. They do pop the Herald. It'll require a little bit of finagling. Yes, it'll get on through. They'll break the tower. That's about a good 1,000 gold that goes into the pockets for BNK FearX. That's good enough for them. Again, the lead isn't expanding by much. Right now, 1.5 thousand between the two squads. And if you're BNK FearX at 20 minutes, that's pretty good. At 10 minutes, you're like, oh, we don't want this game to get away. At 20 minutes, you're like, okay, that's a couple thousand in between. Unfortunately, it is our Jax that is that far behind. But Ezreal doing well. We can get the poke down with Corki as well. So we'll do some dancing. If you guys get close, we'll throw down the Maokai, and we can get out of dodge with the Karma. So right now, BNK FearX are sitting well. They're saying, hey, Cloud9, you're the team that has the ball in your court. You're the one that needs to make the plays to win the game. We just don't have to lose the game.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that, Degon, because when we look at the items, that's really kind of what's telling the story right now for Cloud9. It was Diable who finished that second item before Zven. Zven will be able to upgrade the Muramana very shortly, but it was still Diable that got to it first. Mid lane, Vikla gets that second item over Loki. You look at the jungle, they are mostly even with each other. Even top lane, the top lane we were talking about, the Jax being behind, is even in items against Thanatos.
Just kind of still in this paused moment here as Thanatos getting in front, buying a little bit of time. But again, BNK FearX are like, okay, cool. Like, if you don't want to do anything, we'll just poke you down, force you to go back. You get to heal on up, and we get to collect another wave of minions for 180 to 240 gold. It's pretty awesome.
They're just scaling. Yeah, they're scaling. They're having a cruise right now. They're like, all right, we'll play some farm simulator here, take out every minion, push in the waves, because they already got those outer ones. The tier 1s are all gone for Cloud9. Cloud9 have only taken one structure. That was the top side one. They need to start toppling these turrets so they can get more control of the map.
To be fair, 2 items now completed here for mid and bot, but it's the same thing on the opposite side. So if you're Cloud9, you do want to fight. You want to utilize the lethality here before armor starts coming on in, before you start to get outscaled. But they haven't found a comfortable spot to close it down on BNK FearX. You'd imagine it would be here at the next Drake as Raptor gets the vision of the scuttle. But again, Cloud9 doesn't have too much vision down there. They've got one temporary ward in the river bush. They've got one by their blue buff, and that's it.
Like I said, it's like you need to start taking control of the map. When you don't have these structures toppled, it's really difficult to get into the jungle of BNK FearX to gain that control in the first place. And without that control, FearX are having a free game at this point, scaling back into it. As you talked about before, the gold lead has stymied. It hasn't gained at all for Cloud9. They need to be proactive and look for these plays. They need to find something. If they can get this to work on a Raptor, it might help them out. They're getting a lot of damage. There's a TP on the other side with the Impale on a Raptor. The Raptor is getting away. Seismic Shove with the big rock to slow him down might be enough. And here they go, weaving the walls into the back line onto Vikla. And now Thanatos is here to save the day, dragging him back and make sure they get 2 kills in the top that lane.
Yeah, that's going to be Baron. However, it might come at the cost of 2 towers. Let's see if Zven gets aggressive. He decides not to. He clears the minion wave. And no, actually, Clear is going to back on off as well. It felt like that tower is going to be free, but he's going to TP on in and try to force a fight at Baron.
Trying to see what they can get. They had a great cleanse from Kellen to get away. A little bit of damage, 50% onto Baron. The pull back in onto Diable. Thanatos finds him, but not enough damage. They know that Clear's on the other side. But the longer this takes, the sooner Vikla is going to come back. He's got 10 seconds, so they go for the fight into the back line, getting onto Clear. But Clear was able to counter-strike a lot of that. Diable pulled back in by Loki. Fun in the back line. No longer having to worry about the snipe damage. But Vikla will have TP. He can rejoin, so Cloud9 decide to fall back.
Yeah, I made a mistake here. I thought that Clear TPing back would be a bad call, but remember, we're only at 22 minutes. The objective that Cloud9 could have taken was Drake. That one they could have taken easily, but this early on, you don't have the damage to deal out for Baron, and more specifically, you don't have like the HP to deal with how much Baron does to you, and so Cloud9 not able to take it on down. BNK FearX, yes, they lose yet another one. 3 in total with the 2 on the top side of the map, plus 1 here in the form of, I think it was Kellen. It might have been Clear, but I think it was Kellen. But they stopped the Baron. That's all they want, right? BNK FearX's game plan is very clear. It's just make the game be long. And they're doing a pretty good job of it so far. Cloud9, though, taking that, getting 1 more kill.
Make it scrappy. That's what you have to do for FearX. And Cloud9 are trying their best to wrestle control away. They've gotten a more sizable lead. 3,000 here, 24 minutes into the game. Another Dragon. Here's going to be the wild growth into the back line. But Clear has that flank angle. He's looking for Sven as Vulcan's trying to protect it. His AD carry the best he can. They've got the pick on to Kellen. And Clear didn't get it, but the rocket found it for Vikla. But now that he's pulled back in by Thanatos while the fight has been split up this entire time. Diable cannot escape. It's not a rock. It is a boulder that smashes his face in.
Yeah, there was a lot of focus onto the Varus and not realizing where the rest of the damage could come from. Loki playing a key playmaking champion, able to do exactly that, and Cloud9 win the crucial fight and now have their lead that they've been looking for the last 15 minutes.
And this will now start breaking the game open for Cloud9. And with it, it is a split fight for Fox. Their whole game identity is to start whittling down some of these health bars and then let Clear go rampant into the backline. He almost does so by himself, but he's just not taking it. Thanatos essentially was the one doing the damage to Jax.
Yeah, it was that shove there that Loki was able to get on the banana brush where everyone turned their focus on Zven. You either had to just blow up the front line, which I think they could have done well, or get to the back line. But the backline split up of Cloud9. They did a great job. Loki on one side, Zven on the other. And they went for Zven. They did get Zven, but it cost them basically
everything.
the game and a half. So pretty tough stuff here by BNK FearX. And Cloud9, you know, I wish they would have found a fight earlier to do this, but they eventually do find it here at the Drake, able to get it done. And now with a 5,000 gold lead, they should then start pressuring around Baron over the next 3 to 4 minutes. You've got tools to set up kills with the CC from Zven, with the shove from Loki, with the impale from Blabber, and also he can come from anywhere. And plus, you know, 200 years plus with the Cassante. You've got some really nice tools here by Cloud9 to play around Baron and force BNK FearX into a mistake.
The only thing is you have to have the fight first and foremost. They've got the root onto Vikla with a pullback in. There goes Corky. Blown up in an instant. True shot barrage. Only doing bits of damage to Cloud9, but it's still a slow take onto the Baron. Cloud9 can't burst this down too quickly. Raptors know this, and he was trying to find the angle, but the Impale Dragon in the support bot lane now gone in shambles. The pullback in. Diable trying to get a little bit of damage onto Thanatos, but he's being hit by another rock as Cloud9 healing again back to the Baron.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about. It was a shove that started that one off, and the second one was off of an impale. You know what? I guess anyone could cast, but, you know, I think I do a pretty okay job. Let's see.
I think
4
so,
to
too.
17. Baron still rolling on off. Clear hanging out still in the unknown. They don't know. Diablo is playing on an edge, but now I think he's too far chunked.
Raptor, too.
4,000 gold left, so Cloud9's going to turn here.
They had to get in at that instant, and they didn't. Fox relenting the Baron over to Cloud9. Maybe they want the fight afterwards, though, all 5, but it's an all-out onto Clear. Counter-strike gets the root, gets the stun onto Zven, but Zven finally will fall as the TPs are there, and Vikla throwing out the missiles, trying to hit these tankier members of Cloud9, but they'll ride themselves out of that one, skating in danger and only losing 1.
Yeah, only losing 1 there. Cloud9, you know, this is fine. Keep accelerating the game. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you got to keep the game moving because we still know Jax is annoying late game. Corky Rockets are annoying late game. I mean, Diablo getting a very, very nice chunk of ult there. And look how low he got compared to Zven. Oh, Zven barely, almost lived. Wasn't quite able to, but the rest of the team able to get on out. The tanky members do so. Baron in control of Cloud9. Now let's play the map. Show us that you can close a game out, Cloud9.
Show me what you've got. You've got the tier 1 mid lane that you can easily pressure. Only really Vikla has good wave clear for Fox, and he has to be there in order to do so. So getting this damage onto Diablo, try to focus him away from the minions. Cloud9 are still struggling against a lot of the poke that Fox have. It does make it difficult for them to step up to these waves and even attack these towers.
Yeah, decent wave clear here with Vikla, with Kellen. But now it's about Clear. Like, how do you end up catching out Clear? Clear just going to flip to the other side of the map and keep the pressure on while they lose mid lane. You're counting the numbers. You're counting who's on the map. And also remembering that Loki has the wall ride, can basically show up anywhere.
And when you have Loki that can show up out of nowhere, same with even Blabber, the Ixtal's impact. You were talking about that earlier. Can gank from any lane. Same thing with the Zac, right? Where you have all these unique angles you can look for the fights. Like right now, Blabber going over the wall, looking for Vikla, but Vikla Valkyries backwards, just to stay safe. But this gives Cloud9 that opportunity to take control of the mid lane.
Yeah, it's tough. Like the main hope here for Fox is if they were split up a little bit more. But once Cloud9 clumps up on up with that big of a gold lead and Baron, it's just tough. Like, you're not a multi-hit team with Ezreal, with Corky, maybe a little bit of splash damage from the big ones. But other than that, it's not great.
And now they've been pushed back to 2 inhibitor turrets, both. Oh, no, just 1 inhibitor turret. Sorry, the top lane is still up. But they have been pushed back towards their base in mid lane and are going to make it difficult for them to contest these dragons, contest control. We now see Cloud9 gaining with a lot of that vision towards the bottom half of the map.
Yep, Cloud9 just checking off the boxes as they're supposed to here. Thanatos, okay, here, look, again, when Cloud9 are clumped up, they're super strong. Thanatos a little alone there in the mid lane. It is Kazante, super tanky, has a ton of movement, bajillion HP, you know, the water emotes as well. But still, a solo member, not so great. I like this adaptation that they're doing, though.
Me too.
Put Vulcan kind of hovering around Thanatos for a little bit, and then he can walk himself on back. They get the bot lane turret, which is worth a little bit of extra juice, and Cloud9 maintain that 8,000, almost 9,000 gold lead.
And with Thanatos having TP, while Clear Vikla both did not have that, it made it all too easy for Cloud9 to look for that play. Fox now are backs up to the wall on what they can possibly do. Yes, they scale. Yes, they have these items. They're starting to get the 3 items necessary for Diablo. They're getting close to 3 items for Clear. But when you're this far behind Cloud9 at this point in the game, doesn't matter how well you start scaling, you have to pretty much wait out another 20 minutes to get to that point.
Yeah, if I'm BNK FearX, I kind of go back to that fight around Drake, and that's a lot there. You're hoping for some Hail Marys to go your way, and moments like that, not so good, because that's the power of the Talia. Just shows on up in the middle lane. It wasn't even like a weird angle. Just, yep, nope. I'm here, and now that's your flash and your heal, Kellen. Sorry.
Kellen took so much damage, too, from just one of the threaded volleys. That's how much Loki is starting to do in these fights, and this is why we look towards Loki as being that player. They are trying to get into the backline. They pulled them back in, but the all-out saving the life for now. Zven on the other side, fighting against Diablo, realizing a little bit too late that he's going to get sniped out, and they don't have the AD carry anymore. Thanatos chasing down Clear, pulls him back in with a Tofu strikes. A lot of damage, but Thanatos surviving. Missiles are being thrown out. Valkyrie forward. Vikla taking him down. Fox might have found their angle, and it was off the back of Diablo. This rookie player taken out of the veteran ADC, but he went way too far, and he'll fall to Loki. Cloud9 gifted an opportunity to stay in this game.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Diablo was going for the hello, I have arrived, North America. I am an LCK player now, which means you're going to auto lose. And then he just lost his mind and flashed into nothing and just gets shoved. The reason why I was laughing here is because Blabber went for the Impale, but the all-out came for Thanatos, and it completely whiffed Blabber. Then Diablo gets just the 1v1 against Zven. He's always going to win that one. And you're thinking here, maybe Thanatos gets away. Diablo missed a couple of Mystic shots, but then Vikla clears on up, and a lot of your upfront damage is gone because Zven didn't get to partake in the fight. Those are the types of moments. There, Diablo, you can't do that. You have no vision.
I don't know why.
It's preseason, baby.
Hey, Diablo giveth and he taketh away, just the same. He went for the crazy play. He had gotten the flank angle and taken out Zven, and he was really feeling powerful. Why, like you said, it's preseason. Preseason. Why not try something crazy?
Yeah, I mean, because you want to win. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why not. But we'll see.
See, you don't subscribe to the magical way of playing the game, which is just to look good the whole time, win or lose, as Cloud9 are chasing away Vikla, splitting him up for the fight and pulling back in Kellen with the Impale, and then the grand entrance into Chain of Corruptions, Wombo combo lockdown. Vikla getting the treatment there as Cloud9 can now peel back for the Baron.
Did people see that? Did Kellen try to cleanse the... Yeah, whatever. It's okay. It's off season. That was brutal.
I think he was trying to see if he could... He Captain Jacked cleanse earlier, and I think he was trying to do the same thing there, where he had like the perfect moment to get the cleanse, but just didn't time it perfectly that time.
Yeah, you can't be doing that one there, Kellen. Not able to get the McHale's off. The ult doesn't come through, and losing Kellen seemed to be enough there to lose control of the Baron side of the map. Let's see it one more time. Cloud9 just barrel right on in. They don't have Jax there, which makes it difficult. The double TP in, and so that's what happened. Clear tried to TP for a flank. Cloud9 said, hey, we know what happened last time. We weren't together as one big clump, so we'll just TP together. And the fight happens faster than the flank can come on through. Cloud9 win it.
So I think I know what happened. I think what Kellen was trying to do is actually cleanse the slow from Seismic Bastion just to get a little bit more movement speed away from Impale. If you look, because it was at the time when he was slowed down by the W and not when the Impale was. So I'm thinking that was the idea, but just didn't have enough movement speed to get away.
Good idea. Just didn't quite pan on out here, and BNK FearX had their small opportunity. But again, I don't even think that last fight that they won brought him back on in. It's still unclear to get some farm, and one way to not do that is to get shoved onto a ton of rocks.
Yeah.
0-0 and 0-5 and 3. Not tough here for Clear.
That's not a boulder. It's a rock. It's getting thrown at him over and over again, repetitively right now for Loki, who's now 6-2, 4 items strong on this Talia. She packs a wallop.
Yeah, Cloud9 now doing what they're supposed to do last time. They're clumped on up, making sure vision isn't necessary for this shove. By doing so, they are just together in one lane, and then you've got your Talia who can join them from the other lane. I like it. This is the right setup. And again, they're smacking them with the wallop books, also with the Cloud Soul. Just making sure they take care of business here. BNK FearX will have to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure this one out. Their draft looked good. Kellen on an Enchanter looked good, but Vulcan has just been so much more impactful with the engages, and more specifically counter engages. Like whenever BNK FearX have gotten close to try and re-engage off of the Impale or off of a Seismic Shove, Vulcan's been there to charm him on up and prevent like a lot of burst damage going down, and that allowed Cloud9 to win a lot of these fights.
I even kind of want to go back to how this game started off. It feels like Cloud9 have been in the driver's seat the entire time. They are the team that initiated the lane swap. They are the team that went for the fights at these neutral objectives. They were the ones that were always forcing BNK FearX into their territory to fight them. And because of that, Cloud9 have been reaping a lot of the benefits in this game and are now just a step away from taking this game and deciding the tiebreaker and saying they are the stronger of the two teams.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see if you're a North American fan. You want to see your team be able to play the proactive side of a matchup and not just pick scaling champs here. You do have a little bit of damage from Vikla, but you don't necessarily have playmaking the way that you do from the Talia from Loki.
That's a
But here we go.
GTP.
Here's the Hail Mary. It's the TP from Thanatos.
Well, Thanatos is all the way over here. Clear. Finds an angle onto Cloud9, but he's been spotted out by that control ward, so they know that the flank is there. Thanatos needs to start moving, but Blabber went immediately on into Vikla. Was trying to get him first, but with a golden Loki waiting it out. Vikla's gone. Clear tried to get into the back line, but it's not doing enough. His golden moment is now shrinking away.
Oh.
It is a counter-strike stun, but he loses his life. While Raptor, he twisted advances the wrong way. Chased down by the two beefy boys, locking him down forever to pick up another kill. Kellen falls to Thanatos, and Diablo 2 will fall to the might of the new mid laner from Cloud9. Loki now finding his kingdom here against Fox, with Cloud9 now finding their kingdom in the 3 games that they have played up against BNK FearX.
Yeah, lots of kingdoms, but it is Cloud9 that are crowning themselves the champs in this best of one. They do it 26-8. GG's in the chat, and it is a win here for Cloud9 on a composition that is exciting. It's exciting for them to be able to play that and pull that one off, as you see the big bald head there of Coach Enero, and everyone hyped up on the side of Cloud9 with that victory.
Yeah, Cloud9 going to be really happy, especially as the team that had a lot of changes in the offseason. We are seeing some changes here from BNK FearX 2. But Cloud9, there were kind of question marks on how they were changing things up, bringing in this new mid laner, Loki. A lot of people from the LCK, you could probably talk on this one, Digon, were excited about this player, saying this guy actually has a lot of momentum behind him, where a lot of teams wanted to pick up this new mid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at the seats in LCK, and there weren't very many to be filled. You also look who he was behind. He was getting to see Zeka. He was getting to see the run that Hololive were able to have. And then you see where he ended up, and you look at today's match. It wasn't perfect by any means, but he didn't shy away from playmaking, as we now have our interview standing by with BNK FearX. Or I guess we are going to talk over it a little bit because it doesn't look like we have our translator here. Mr. Chobra. Also, shout outs to Chobra for all of you OG, OGN/LCK Korean League of Legends fans. Chobra way back when, now getting to do some translations for us here in our Fearless Foxes Festa. But overall, positive from Cloud9. Not perfect, but positive.